Perhaps you've heard this story. Today's guest is becoming internationally known for standing up against the George Soros-backed anti-American racially divisive organization known as Black Lives Matter, and for standing up for the truth and for what she calls Jesus Matters.
Tonight, the woman caught on camera defacing a Black Lives Matter mural on New York City's Fifth Avenue is speaking out.
Bevelyn Beatty is an evangelist and the co-founder of Well Ministries Incorporated. She made headlines by wearing a Jesus Matters shirt and spreading black paint over the New York City street mural with her hands.
CBN Chief Political Analyst David Brody interviewed Bevelyn Beatty and joins us now with more. David?
John, I tell you what, she has a very interesting story. She grew up in the inner city of Charlotte, North Carolina, got into a lot of trouble. Her mom was on welfare. She actually went to jail, and 7 years ago in jail, she gave her life to Jesus Christ. The rest, if you will, is spiritual history. And where did she go from there? Well, look, she said, look, I'm done with this whole Black Lives Matter organization. Not the sentiment, but the organization. And so she decided to go armed with a paint can to New York. We talk about it. Have a look.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, and yes, Thrive Nation, we are in the air everywhere, and today's guest, Miss Bevelyn, is really starting to change the conversation. This woman is getting more and more people to talk about this controversial idea known as Jesus Matters. Bevelyn, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. How are you?
I am honored to have you on the show. You have been all over everywhere on social media, Instagram, Twitter. I just have to ask you, as a black woman who loves Jesus, give us what's going on inside your mind and in your heart when you made the decision to paint over the Black Lives Matter murals. What was going on in your heart and in your head?
Well, in my head, I wanted to fight back and strategically defy everything that quote unquote mural meant, because I knew for a fact that that's a middle finger to America, it's a middle finger to God, it's a middle finger to Trump, it's a middle finger to everything that our founding fathers built, it's a middle finger to Black people especially. And I was tired. I was done. I was over it. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to go out there. And since they want to use the Black people to fight politically and push this leftist narrative, let's use Black people and Black paint to cover it up and basically fix what they've messed up. So that was going on in my head and in my heart. I just wanted to serve the Lord. I just wanted to do what I knew was right, because I knew in my heart how demonic this movement is, and I just wanted to counter it.
In Genesis, this controversial book in the Bible, which if you believe in the Bible, I think this is the verse that makes us all not racists. If we believe in the Bible, it says Genesis 1:27. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. That is why I recognize that you have clearly been tanning more than me, or you have more pigment than me. But beyond that, I just don't care. I don't view the world in terms of races. I view us as we are the human race, and we are running this race for the one who created us. I want to get your take on racism, because my wife's best friend is Black. My best friend is Black, but I've never sat down and said, I'm going to have Black friends. It happened through just connecting on music, connecting on sports, connecting on things we connect on. Talk to me, just what is your view on racism in America?
Well, the crazy part is this. Racism in America really is not as racist as people say it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. You'll actually meet more foreigners like Asians and Middle Easterns that are more racist than the people in America. Why? Because America is a melting pot. So because we have so many different cultures in this nation, all we can assume or presume is that one person doesn't like us because someone is a different color, right? I swear if you go to China, it's a bunch of Chinese people. They have to find another way to pick on each other because they're all Chinese. So maybe one has blue eyes, one has black eyes, and one's short, one's tall, one's skinny, one's fat. You know, so the issue, the complaint about this racism in America, I believe it doesn't exist deeply as much as we think it exists. And I'll tell you this, I think racism is nothing but a sin. It's equivalent to lying. It's equivalent to stealing. It's equivalent to being envious. It's really just sin. And it's something that we deal with worldwide. Racism is sin. And so that it's just one of the problems we're going to deal with till the day we die. So that's why for us Christians, we are called to see one another as equal, and we are called to love each other in the body of Christ. You know, we are all created equally in God's image. Sorry about that. We're all created equally in God's image. So it's like, it's beyond just color. It's character that we're supposed to be seeking after.
I feel like my favorite comedian is Steve Harvey. My second favorite is Jim Gaffigan. In terms of just sports, my favorite athletes, I love Tim Tebow. I love Tim Tebow. Also love some Karl Malone. I feel like the idea, though, that I would wake up and choose my favorite musician or athlete based upon their race doesn't have a place in our country. I also think it doesn't make sense to choose who you're going to vote for based upon race. So this is a deep thought I have. I wanted Ben Carson to be our president because I ideologically agreed with him the most.
Yeah.
He did not win, but I just interviewed him last week on the show. He's serving as the U.S. Secretary of Housing, doing a great job with the Trump administration. And from your perspective, I just want to get your take on this because you are in the situation, you're in the conversation. When President Obama won his second term in office, he received more than 95% of the black vote, more than 95%. At that time, we didn't have outspoken people like yourself that were getting national attention. We didn't have Jack Brewer national attention. We didn't have Herschel Walker national attention. We didn't have you national attention. That being said, what percentage of Black America will support President Trump during this next election? What do you think? Just what's your kind of feeling based on what you know, who you know, what you're around, what you're seeing? Give me your take.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had the same type of support that Obama had, and this is why I say this. Everybody knows Obama became president because he was Black. Everybody knows that. It's not something that people are just stating as their opinion, because you ask anybody down the street why they vote for Obama, they're going to tell you, oh, because he's Black. And he pushed this narrative change. But the thing is, we gave him 8 years, and he did the absolute opposite. He actually diminished America, but at the same time, he did nothing for the Black community. We ended up worse off, right? So then now you got Superman Trump in, right? Why do I call him that? Because he did everything that the Black community thought Obama was going to do, and he did it in 4 years. He didn't need a second chance. He didn't need a second term to complete certain things and fix what everybody else messed up. So a lot of Black folk, they felt it when you felt it with Obama when it started hurting your pockets and it started hurting your health care. My sister was for Obama until one day she filed her taxes. Mind you, she doesn't have health insurance. We kind of all natural girls. And then she gets penalized and they take $1,000 out of her tax check. And she's like, wait, why did they? I said, oh girl, that's Obama. He did the Obamacare thing, and if you don't have insurance, he's gonna penalize you. She said, what? And I mean, for her, it woke her up. Like, wait a minute, Obama played us. So now it's like, now you got Trump in office, and you got Trump doing things that's helping people to get bigger tax checks back and getting a lot of tax cuts, tax breaks, and things is just your life is just prevailing under Trump. So I guarantee you, blacks are going to come out of the woodworks and say, all right, we smell the coffee. We realize black isn't enough. We're going to vote for Trump.
So the Black Lives Matters, we talk about it on the show a lot. I've documented this. If all of our listeners will go to thrivetimeshow.com and click on the COVID chaos button, you can click a button that says Learn the Truth About Black Lives Matter. The organization is clearly funded by extremely left-leaning, fascist white men. That's who's running it. When you donate on Black Lives Matter, the money goes to Act Blue, which goes to Biden. I'm sure he doesn't even know it goes to him, but it goes to him. So the idea is Black Lives Matter is funded by very terrible, left-leaning, anti-American people. Do you think the average person knows that?
To be honest with you, no. The average person, all they hear is Black Lives Matter. And they hear that and they think, yeah, Black Lives Matter. Okay, yeah, that's right. I'll support this. But they don't do their research. A lot of people are just kind of, you want to think in this world, it's called common sense for a reason, but I really think we should change it to uncommon sense.
True.
Because it's really not as common as people think it is. To put 2 + 2 for some people equals 35, unfortunately. So the average person is just going to hear the slogan Black Lives Matter and think, oh yeah. And that's why you even have some Christians who will go up in their church and will be wearing Black Lives Matter shirts and on the pulpit talking about how much Black lives need to matter. Yet they don't even look at the narrative of this organization and realize it's anti-Christ, it's anti-God in every way, shape, and form, and every foundation that Jesus Christ has built. And they don't wake up and smell that.
The actual Black Lives Matter fun facts I want to share with people. This is going to blow my mind. This will blow your mind, blow everyone's mind. Black Lives Matter, the organization. Who's behind it? Well, let's just list off a few people. These are fun people. Susan Rosenberg. She's a member of the board of directors for the left-wing Thousand Currents group, which handles the intake of the donations to Black Lives Matter. And she's a convicted terrorist. She was convicted for the 1983 bombing of the U.S. Capitol building, the U.S. Naval War College, and the New York Patrolmen's Benevolent Association. She was released from prison after serving 16 years of her 58-year prison sentence when Bill Clinton commuted her sentence on his last day of office. The founder of Black Lives Matter, Miss Patrice, she says, "We are trained Marxist." She says these words. George Soros supports, funds Black Lives Matter. George Soros was on 60 Minutes stating that at the age of 14, he was, in fact, a member of the Nazi Party. He actually was a Nazi. This is craziness. So what I want to do...
No, he's Jewish.
He's sick. He's sick. Now, what I'm going to do is I have questions from Thrivers who want to ask you questions. There's a specific list here. I've got a significant list. I think I have like 9 questions for you here. I'm going to fire them off rapid fire. Not going to try to catch you in a corner or paint you into a corner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask fast, though, and I want to get the best 30 seconds you've got, the hot takes. So here we go. This is from a Thriver. He writes, "What do you think Jesus might say about Black Lives Matter?"
He'll condemn it to the ground just like he did the fig tree.
Okay, next question. Do you think the black community is disproportionately targeted by the police?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes. Can I break that down?
Break it down, like fractions.
All right, let's break it down. First of all, you got to remember something. The police answer to the mayor or the governor. The police are nothing but the foot soldiers. That's why when you see unjust killings, you're usually going to see them in Democrat cities ran from top to bottom. As to where when you're in Republican cities, you're not going to see that. Why? Because, again, the police answer to either the mayor or the governor. So the problem is the leadership. It's not just about police hating black people. And you have more diversity in the police precincts and in policing than you do in BLM. That's just a bunch of crazy white liberals and then a couple token black Negroes and some undereducated Spanish people. But for the most part, the police are very well diverse. They don't just want to go out killing black folk.
Do you believe that the race issue is overinflated by the American media?
1,000%. It's overinflated because that's the only thing they have. The beauty of America is used against it. The fact that we are a country, a melting pot full of many nations, is the same way they use that against us, because all they can do is throw out the word racism, which is very vague. It's never direct. It's racism. And as long as they keep throwing that smoke into the mirror, we won't see the clear truth.
All right. Question number 4 from a Thriver. They write, how would you coach not black people? How would you coach white people, Asian people, Latino people? How would you coach people who are not black on the best way that they can support in supporting black people, for them to show, hey, I am on your team. What is the best way for them to do that? What are your thoughts on that?
The same way you said, I have black friends because I enjoy my friend. We have things in common. I never thought, hey, I would get a black friend. It's the same way I would tell people of other race. Stop virtue signaling black people. Start being real. Start telling the truth. And that's when you're going to really see some change.
I laughed because it's so true what you just said. It's so true, so true. And Eugene Willis, if you're watching here, Eugene, I'm not your friend just because you're black. In fact, I choose to be your friend because I like you. But even if you went through one of those Michael Jackson skin bleaching things, I'd still like you. But I think people out there, it's such a tension out there. People just meant this conversation we're having now. I'm hoping 1,000 people feel like they're having this, because this is the healing conversation our country has to have right now. Another question from a Thriver writes, what is the best answer to helping the black community in America?
The best answer to helping not only the black community, but all communities as a whole, is being the disciple that Jesus Christ called you to be. There's plenty of children out here. Let me tell you, I know a white couple, right? Mind you, Ronnie and Lori Aosa, okay, of New Jersey. And Ronnie owns a real estate company. Lori's a stay-at-home wife. You know what they do? They met 2 young black boys from the inner city of Paterson, New Jersey, and they took them on. They took them on as their boys. They spend time with them. They go to their games. They give them the father and mother love that they don't have at home. In that same way, if you really want to see change, start to be a disciple. Start to minister to these broken mothers and these broken men. Start to bring young children into your home and bless them in a sense. And of course, God will give you wisdom on how to do that. But start to be active in putting your feet on the ground. And that's going to change the world. And it ain't just about color. Stop asking about color. We're people. This is an earth suit. Okay? It's gonna die. It's
suit.
Gonna go back to the ground.
I love that, earth suit. I've never heard that phrase, earth suit. I'm gonna get a shirt that says earth suit right there, Coach on it.
Earth suit. This is all this is. This has nothing to do with nothing. It's time for us to start interacting interpersonally and building with one another.
I know people are, when I mention this guy's name, people are gonna immediately form an opinion. But just calm down, folks watching, folks listening. Calm down. Kanye West is a guy who woke up one day. I'm not sure what day it was, but he realized being woke, quote unquote, is the actual opposite of being woke. It's like Hollywood and the things people are willing to do to get to the top. Music, Hollywood, the godless, corrupt things around him. What he thought was good is bad. What he thought was bad is good. And he went through this transformation, and out came the Jesus is King conversation. It started with little services that kind of made some people nervous. A service that kind of made some people nervous. They're going, what's he doing? What's going on? Then he started hosting these large praise and worship events in Los Angeles there at the Coliseum, filling it up, packed house. Then he puts out an album, and people just aren't sure what to do with it because the radio won't play it, but he's putting it out there. Now he's teaming up with Dr. Dre and Ty Dolla $ign to record music that is honest. I mean, it's unbelievable, the new stuff coming out. There's been a few songs that have been leaked, and it's just a fabulous. The album is sounding great. I don't think Dre knows how to produce poor music. What do you think's going on with Kanye West right now? I agree with like 95% of what he's talking about right now, which is more than most people. But can you tell me what's going on? What do you think's happening with inside the mind of Mr. Kanye West?
Kanye is what you call a Christian. This is what I'll say about this. What people fail to realize is that if you were raised being a Christian and you don't understand what it means to be radically changed and shifted from one thing to another, you will never understand Kanye and you will only judge him. I didn't grow up in church. I radically was saved, sitting in jail for 7 days waiting on my dad to bail me out.
Wow.
And so he radically got saved. Now he's radically going out and telling everybody. He is a woman at the well who met Jesus, and Jesus told him everything about himself. And then he's going around saying, come and see about a man. She don't know much. Kanye don't know much, but he's willing to go out and say, come and see about a man who saved me. He set me free. Let me tell you about him. And now he's opening up conversations with people that we probably can't get next to. None of y'all can get next to a Dr. Dre. None of y'all can get next to a Ty Dolla $ign, but he can. And for him to inspire these young men to make godly music, even if for a second it's just for the moment,
yeah.
You know, it's still inspiring, and at the same time he's evangelizing the best way he knows how. The best thing you can do is pray for that man and ask the Lord to send a mentor to guide him and teach him the word. But we don't want him to be another Pharisee or Sadducee. We want him to be radical, doing what he's supposed to do, not sitting in the church twiddling his thumbs waiting for hell to freeze over and Jesus to come back, but no, actually doing the work of the Lord and evangelizing until he comes.
He reminds me of the Saul from the Bible. Not maybe as far gone as Saul was, but who became Paul. I mean, he reminds me just it's a radical transformation. Now, Kanye West, if I go on his Twitter feed right now at this very moment, he writes, over 22,500,000 black babies have been aborted over the past 50 years. He's been very vocal about being pro-life. Very, very vocal. What are your thoughts as a woman about Planned Parenthood? As a Christian woman who's wearing a shirt that says Jesus matters, what do you think about Planned Parenthood or his tweet that just documents that 22,500,000 black babies have been aborted over the past 50 years?
Well, as of last night, I found out that he's wrong about that. It's actually 44 million that have been aborted since the last 50 years, right? So his number is not even as high as what it actually is. What I see is a man that's stepping up and actually speaking out and being honest about our mistake as a people and what we've done to ourselves. That's number one. What I believe Planned Parenthood is, it is an altar of Baal. It is an altar of Moloch, and it is designed to take child sacrifice, all for the name of convenience. It's evil. It's wicked. It's disgusting. It's against the Lord. And I don't care how much people want to say, oh, it's just women's services. Let me tell you something. If you needed a pap smear, you going to let a rapist do your pap smear? No. So in the same way, even if you need women's services, why would you go into a murder mill just to get a service? Makes absolutely no sense to me. And he's 100% right.
Ma'am, I have 5 final questions for you. Questions coming in from the Thrivers who want me to ask you these things, and I'm going to try to respect your time, but you have so much accrued wisdom. I was looking you up. You know, you went from jail to here, and you're going somewhere else. And I just love it. I love it. It's unapologetic, and I want to ask you these questions. So here we go. A Thriver writes, why do you think it's so easy for the black community to blindly join organizations like Black Lives Matter? And he makes a note, he's black.
Good question. Because the black community has an issue bigger than their color. It's called sin. We don't deal with systematic racism. We deal with systematic sin. Why? Because the enemy is always going to lay before you traps and temptations. But we as a people who stood on the word of God once upon a time, we allowed sin and temptation to override the word of God. I'll give you a prime example. Lyndon Baines Johnson implemented welfare in the 1960s. You can see, even when we dealt with segregation, our community wasn't as declined as it is now. In the 1960s, we were at 18% fatherlessness. We now at 78% fatherlessness the moment he implemented welfare.
You went from 18% as a community
to 78%.
To 78% don't have fathers, you're saying? 78%?
Yes.
78? 70. Now, so, and I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying somebody's going to want to look that up. Somebody's going to, where can people find this stuff? Because what you just said, I don't think people are saying that. That's crazy.
You got to look that up yourself and find out. I can't even tell you where to
Yeah,
get
no,
stats.
that's fine. And I agree. I've seen stats that are very similar. I'm just saying that probably blew somebody's mind right there. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you. That mind blowing.
No problem. So this is the thing. Why? These numbers are crazy, but let's talk about why. All right, and how. Welfare program came in, and to get on that welfare program, to get this service that you need for your food stamps, your housing, and all of that, what they tell these women, if you can get on this program, but you can't get married. They never said you can't have sex. They never said you can't, do what you do, but they said you cannot get married. The moment you get married or you make too much money, you get kicked off the program. So us as a black people, what we did, we submitted to the demand. We said, okay, so we won't get married. Okay, so we won't work too hard. My Bible tells me a man that does not work does not eat. My Bible also tells me that a man and woman join together as one in marriage and covenant. Amen. Okay, so these directions that they're telling you go totally against what the Bible is speaking on. But if you want to do that, you're going to have to choose sin. A lot of the black community chose sin. And God said himself, I lay before you life and death, choose life. We at once upon a time chose it in the height of oppression. We chose the Lord. But as soon as things started to get easy,
Amen.
we ran right to sin, just like the Israelites.
I just love your boldness. You remind me of it's like a Candace Owen. You're very Candace Owensy. You're so bold with the words you say. I love it because what it's doing is it's creating a wake for other people. You're like an icebreaker. You're creating this, and you're probably taking a lot of shots. And if I never talk to you again, I just want you. I'll be praying for you because you're out front and you're breaking the ice, and it makes it easier for other people to have the conversation. And so just never, ever stop. I pray you never stop. Now, the next question from a Thriver is, do you fundamentally believe that Black Lives Matter is a good organization that actually believes in its core statement? Now, this is a question. These are questions posed. These next 4 questions are posed from Black listeners. It says, do you fundamentally believe that Black Lives Matter is a good organization that believes in its core statement?
Well, fundamentally, no, I don't believe that it is a good organization in its core statement, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you can't separate the organization from the statement, and this is why. We've been dealing with a lot of issues in the Black community since, the 60s, 80s, down.
Yeah. Nobody
started screaming Black Lives Matter until the organization popped out. So now what you trying to do? Separate the statement from the organization? If you hear Jesus Matters, you can never separate Bevelyn from Jesus Matters, because I'm the one who came out with it. You wasn't screaming it before then. You screaming it now. You can't do that. So that don't make sense. And when you look at the foundation of what Black Lives Matter represent, whether you want to differentiate it or not, the foundation of that organization is going to stand, because when people hear you say it, they're not going to go look up, okay, well, what does such and such say about it? Or what does the Bible or the church say about it? They're going to go to blacklivesmatter.org and find out what you're screaming about. So you're already sending it back to them. No, you can't separate it.
The NBA. This Thriver wants to know what your thoughts on the NBA, where now their ties to China are being released. I mean, the way that the Chinese players who are in the NBA's development league, I'm not sure if you've seen that. That's crazy. The people who are Chinese basketball players who are trying to make their way into the NBA, somebody should take some time and look that up. But we've now kind of teamed up with China. How deep the NBA's teamed up with China is coming to light. But meanwhile, pretty much every player, if you don't kneel when the national anthem is played right now, you're definitely the only guy on the team standing at this point, or one of the few. What are your thoughts on the systemic? I hate to even. What do you think about the idea that you're almost a sick freak if you're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in the NBA now? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, these are my thoughts on that. That they basically revealed the plan of the NBA from the beginning. Let's be very clear. When you're dealing with people in the NBA, what got to understand is these are under contract. You know what a contract is? That means they signed their freedom or whatever they have in certain ways for a paycheck. And now they get paid to play. But guess what? They're not just playing on the court. They're playing as far as whatever entity they're submitted to, because again, they have signed a contract. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why you see a lot of these young Black men willing to even submit to the demands, because all they know is they want to get paid. Again, they submitted themselves to the NBA. So for me, it's no surprise. And this is why I'm gonna say this. Even for the guys that submit and then they need a Black Lives Matter, right? And they swear up and down they're so racist. Like, let's talk about LeBron James for a second. He'll tell you up and down, oh, white people so racist, he's so discriminated against, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it's a white man signing his check. How that makes sense? It's a quote unquote white. It's the white big boys that are leading you into promoting this cause, promoting that cause. Don't say nothing about China, because the ones that sign your check are the ones in bed with these guys, because they have a bigger agenda. And of course, China's willing to cut the check to infiltrate the USA, because they're trying to take the USA. So I mean, this thing is not going to be a 30-second answer. It's so much gray area that comes into this.
Yes.
But I'm gonna tell you now, this is because these young men are contracted. They sold their souls to the NBA. But you have a few that are willing to say, listen, I'll play with you guys, but I'm gonna sell my soul. And if you do cut my contract, it won't make no never mind to me, because I know who my God is. And that's what you're seeing, good and evil. Either if there's no more lukewarm, either you're gonna stand or you're gonna bow. You can't squat. You can't just act like you wasn't there. No, either
Yep.
you're going to bow to the devil or you're going to stand. You have no choice.
Well, this is a report here. I want to read this. This is from Fox News. Just supplies some more facts to back what you're saying. And if this commercial starts, I'm going to try to stop the commercial. But the article is titled, this is from Fox. It says, NBA training academies in China plagued with human rights abuses. Bombshell report claims. It says, we were basically working for the Chinese government, one former employee told ESPN. Human rights abuses have taken place in the NBA's training academies in China, a bombshell report alleges. ESPN reported on Wednesday that the young participants in the NBA program were physically beaten by Chinese instructors and were not provided proper schooling despite Commissioner Adam Silver's previous commitment that education would be central to the program. A former league employee compared the atmosphere when working in China to World War II Germany. ESPN's report detailed how the NBA's training academies in China, which were launched in 2016, appeared to be largely under the control of the Chinese government, with one coach who worked for the program calling it a sweat camp for athletes. So now that doesn't sound like a great situation, but yet LeBron James is well. Let's look up his salary. I'm not sure if he's is he making $7 this year? No. 47, no, 37, no, it's 37.44 million. And so what we have to do, and this is my final question for you, is Matthew 5:10 says, blessed are those who are persecuted for their righteousness, for they shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who are persecuted for their righteousness, for they shall inherit the kingdom of heaven. You went out there, I'm going to put a link to the video on the show notes. You went out there and you painted over Black Lives Matter, the phrase with black paint, right there in New York. Where did you do it, and what happened when you were doing it? Just tell us about painting. Where specifically did you first paint over the Black Lives Matter mural, and just tell us what happened there.
Well, it was at the Trump Towers on 5th Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went to paint over it, I mean, the police were there. They were asking questions. They were trying to figure out what was going on. And I guess I moved too fast for them to stop me. And I got right through the barricades and I poured that paint. I got on my hands and knees. I smeared it. And I was quickly trying to cover up just at least, if anything, the word black on the Black Lives Matter mural and just leave lives matter.
Great job.
Yeah. And so, the police, if they really wanted to, they could have wrestled me and took me down. But the police felt where I was coming from, and they also touched and agreed because they also see where this thing is going and they're concerned themselves. So they just kind of let me get my wiping out, let me get my painting out, and then finally they picked me up. But even afterwards, they showed me so much love. They fed me, they gave me water. They just treated me like a princess at the precinct. They got me in and out. And after that, I went out to cover 2 more murals, which was it was wonderful. And no police were there. So that was good.
Have you looked into Bill de Blasio, your mayor? Have you looked up at this guy? Have you spent a lot of time, Bevelyn, looking this guy up?
Well, first of all, is that his name?
Okay, so you have. So let's go there. Let's go there real quick.
That's not his name.
I'm having so much fun.
Not his name.
He was born Warren Wilhelm Jr., and he was once one of the leaders of the Sandinista socialistic movement in Nicaragua.
Yes.
And then he changed his name to Bill de Blasio. Interesting. The guy's a communist. He's a socialist. He's not. So
He's a socialist.
And so we have
need a name to sound Italian because that's what would be more comforting to people. And then he married a black woman, but to get in, that was a pawn. That marriage in itself was a pawn because now if you got a token black chick, then maybe people will think you cool and they can rock with you. Didn't know nothing about this guy. Voted him in. He's a socialist, communist thief, and a loser.
Yes. Okay. Now, I watched one of your YouTube videos where you were singing. I think you sing sometimes. And at some point, I would like to know, can people find you singing more often? Do you sing on cue? Because you have a great voice. Is that something you're willing to do for the Thrive Nation? Kind of leave us with a song? Or can you say, hey, go to this YouTube channel to watch it? Because you have a great voice. And the listeners want to hear it. Is there a certain YouTube video you can direct us to?
I would sing on cue for people, but I really don't just go on YouTube and just start singing.
I've seen you do it, though. Okay. Where can people find out more about you and what you're doing?
Okay, so they can find me on YouTube, Parler, Facebook, and Instagram at Bevelyn Beatty. and they can find me on Twitter at Bevelyn Beatty. And yeah, you know, sometime you might catch me on the live and you might end up hearing me sing. You got to tune in. You might catch me getting arrested. You never know what you're going to catch me doing. Just tune in and stay in prayer with me, and just let's get to the kingdom.
And how much, if I want to support you financially, I want to maybe buy some things for you. How do you have these things set up where people can buy maybe shirts, apparel?
Yeah.
And how much do these things cost? Because we do want to support you.
Yes, so the Jesus Matters shirt that I'm wearing right now, Jesus Matters, the one I got arrested in, this ain't the same one, but the same type of shirt.
Yeah.
You can get that at JesusMattersMarch.com. The shirt is from $30 to $35, depending on what your size is. We are working on turning that over and trying to get free shipping in there somehow, some way. But right now, it does cost for shipping. Sorry about that, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, go there to get your shirt. And as far as the ministry, you can go to @wellministries.org. If you want to connect with us, if you want to support, if you want to send a prayer request in, anything you need, you go to that ministry site and you'll be able to connect.
So JesusMattersMarch.com to buy the shirts.
Yes.
And @wellministries.org to learn more. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is there anybody else out there kind of like you that we need to have on this show? Is there anybody else where you go, you know, we're kind of like Batman, Robin. We're kind of like, you know, the Williams sisters here. We're kind of like, you know, the Bash Brothers, Jose Canseco, McGuire. Do you have anybody out there that's kind of having a similar conversation that maybe some of our listeners should also check out that you might recommend?
Ricky Castor.
Ricky Castor.
He's not well known like that, but when I say he's cut from the same cloth and he understands, and him and his team, Ricky Castor and DS Jackson, just look them up on Facebook. And I mean, you'll hear a lot of the things that they say.
Yeah.
And I would say them, but it's not a lot of people well known like we know, like us, that are pulling up like this. But I'll tell you this, inspiration of mine and somebody I love dearly, Flip Benham.
Flip Benham.
You probably heard about him before. Flip Benham. He's old school. He's been doing this for a while. His sons are the Benham brothers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Their daddy's very, close knit with our ministry. I mean, OSA, Operation Save America, Rusty Thomas, abolitionists. There's also at the Well Ministries, California. The runner of that is Don. I mean, there's a lot of us on the ground. We just not well known like that. We were always castaways as the fire brimstone Christians. But now people are realizing, wait a minute, maybe they not so fire and brimstone. Maybe these people know what they're talking about. You know,
Bevelyn, I appreciate you for being here. You certainly did not disappoint. Our listeners, I had a big expectation when we booked you, and thank you so much. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear your voice.
All right, have me again. Just connect and have me again. I would love to be back.
I shall. You take care.
Amen. God bless.
And now, without any further ado, 3, 2, 1, boom!
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Proverbs 10:4. I'm here to tell you, you can do it if you can just motivate yourself. 12 the masses had to cut off a few, so on the daily you and I could rendezvous. A misshapen tree that I had to prune. I had to make cuts to be here daily at noon. So like a tidal wave of knowledge monsoon, I could rain on the parades of those who doubt in you. Are you the next Rockefeller or the next guru? Or the next Dr. King who's changing the rules? Walls are in your way, will you run right through? Like a running back, forth the one, it's up to you. I remember my days back in the dorm room, tuned to the gloom like the temple of doom. Overwhelmed with the doubts that try to consume my hope for the future that I could pursue. But from the mountaintop now I can conclude that you have what it takes if you want the view to.
This is your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time. It's your year to thrive. Success you will find. Today is your day, and now is your time.
This moment is profound cause you're above the ground. Your road might have been rough, but what you got now is now. We're here to pick you up and to even show you how. But you gotta be resourceful with that old plow. Started from the bottom, but I worked my way up. Cause by 4 a.m. I always been prayed up. Rise and grind, now's your time, don't dare let up. You gotta get it, don't quit it till your seeds grow
This
up.
is your year to thrive.
Come on.
Success you will find.
Yes.
Today is your day.
Somebody say,
And now is your time.
It's your time.
It's your year to thrive.
come on.
Success you will find. Today is your day. And now is your time.
It's your time. We all have a wish and we all want to win, but we cannot begin without self-discipline. If you fall on your face, get yourself up again. Attach yourself to goals, not fail with the friends. When the storms get rough and it's scatter and leave, you only be there with yourself and what you believe. We believe in you, but not as much as God does. If you're going through hell, he's got nothing but love. Apply what you learn, increase what you earn, and in due time
You
you
got
have money to burn.
Apply what you've learned, increase what you burn, and in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you've learned, increase what you burn, in due time you got money to burn.
Sing it.
Apply what you've learned,
Sing it.
increase what you burn.
Yes.
In due time you got money to
With this biblical
burn.
miracle,
Yeah.
I look to shout down the doubters. Kill the weeds that be killing your dream flowers. Empower you to devour all the obstacles that make your sweet dreams sour. As for me, I used to stutter, but now I'm on the microphone smooth like butter. If I can do it, I know you can too, but you must stick to it like postage do. And while Merton's on the chorus, singing what he sings, I encourage you to dream big dreams.
Today is your day.
Today's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
This is your year to thrive.
Sing it, sing it.
Success you will find. Today is your day.
It's your day.
And now is your time.
It's your time.
Today is your day.
Come on.
And now is your time.
Sing it, Martin.
Today is your day. Now is your time.
I realize I can't sing like that, but I can talk and play the woodblock. Okay. If you guys need me, I'll just be over here.